Welcome to the PDX files. Each week we dive into the weird and the unexplained here in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. My name is Peej.
And I'm Mac.
And Mac, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, some episodes ago, we kind of did a bit of a trip through Dublin, Ireland, in that area where you just visited. And tonight or today, we're going to be looking into a place that I have been that you haven't, which is very, very few of those as the years go by. But Edinburgh, Scotland. It's an awesome
Mm,
city. I loved it. It's been a long time since I've been there. It was 1998, but uh, looking at the video, it really reminded me of being there, just the sights and scenes there that I saw. But I didn't get into any of the paranormal stuff when I was there, so this would be kind of nice for me too.
all right, on you. So you're almost like viewing it with fresh eyes.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, so this is how do you pronounce? Is it Edinburgh?
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. All
It
right.
sounds sounds like Edinburgh. I don't know. I'm not a native. I have no idea.
All right. All right. Well, I've not seen this video, so my responses will be authentic about the infamous haunts of Edinburgh. Here
Infamous.
we go.
The history of Edinburgh is full of violence and bloodshed.
Edinburgh.
For centuries, it played a critical role in Scotland's struggle for independence. The area around the old town of Edinburgh has been inhabited for thousands of years, the first settlement forming around the hill fort that would eventually become Edinburgh Castle. The old
There's
town
no
area of
ocean around
Edinburgh is
there.
full of strange hauntings that lead many to believe that it's the most haunted area in all of Scotland. The old town of Edinburgh originally consisted of one main street and small alleyways and courtyards
Yep.
that led off the main road. This area is now known as the Royal Mile. At the top of the Royal Mile sits Edinburgh Castle, leading all the way down to the bottom where the Parliament building resides. The alleyways in between became known as closes and were named after memorable residents or the jobs and trades of residents living in the apartments off of the close. Brodie's Close is named after William Brodie, a well-respected member of society and deacon of the Edinburgh Incorporation of Wrights and Masons. Brodie was a master craftsman
Masons.
and was responsible for installing and repairing locks of banks, businesses, and many homes of the rich. In 1768, Brodie used his position to copy the keys to a bank and successfully stole £800, which would be about £120,000 by today's currency. He used this money to maintain a secret life of gambling and supporting two different mistresses and the five children
nice.
between them. In 1786, he recruited a gang of thieves to go on a crime spree that lasted for 2 years. Until
That's him. They
police
definitely
were
look
finally
very
tipped off that Brodie was the
criminalicious.
mastermind behind a failed armed raid. Brodie managed to evade the police and escape to Amsterdam before being arrested and brought back to Edinburgh for trial, where he was found guilty. Before
yeah.
being hanged, Brodie attempted to bribe the executioner to prevent himself from his imminent death. However, these bribes fell upon deaf ears, and William Brodie's story came to an end. Or did it? Not long after, his ghost began appearing at his old workshop and family home. His ghost can be found walking along his clothes with a set of keys, sometimes accompanied by a fire-breathing dark horse that he brought with him from hell.
I just say, if he's trying to bribe the executioner, maybe he really was deaf. Maybe we couldn't hear. Maybe he would have worked. I do remember seeing some of those little hallways. They are close. It's kind of, I don't know if that there's probably similar stuff like that in other countries in England and Scotland, Europe. I'm sure you saw some stuff that was similar when you went, but it's funny seeing all that. Definitely, it looks exactly the same. I don't think this video is that old then as it looked, or now as it looked then. It's nothing really changes in those types of cities. I hadn't heard that story. That one seems to me more like of an urban legend kind of deal than it does an actual ghost situation.
Probably. I mean, but these alleyways, they look very narrow. So like, do you remember
Creepy.
these are like what's like two people at a time
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
walking side by
exactly.
side?
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
Gosh. And
yeah.
they're
They're
called
a
they're
little
called
creepy.
closes?
Closes. Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure some shady stuff did go down. I mean, I could see someone getting shanked there, and sort of setting up somebody, maybe like on the rival kind of situation. I don't think you're riding any horses down there uh, from from hell or otherwise. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting.
I think the flaming horse thing seemed very urban legendy, but I can certainly see in terms of, the closeness of the
Yeah.
walls, and and how that could kind of maybe conjure sounds that may sound like keys
That could
jangling or
just be
dangling.
coins, yeah, in someone's pocket. Yeah, definitely. Or it could just be keys in someone's pocket as well. I mean,
Yeah,
it could be, it could very well be that. It just his whole story. It's not like he's doing like there's I think there's some better stories, some ghost stories. This one is this guy was a real character, obviously, right? He stole
sure.
he was able to get 120 pounds, 120,000 pounds worth of in today's money to support his
Two,
two mistresses.
two mistresses and five
Yeah.
kids.
And he's gambling at the same time. He had a gambling problem. And then he said, all right, y'all, I'm going to Amsterdam and bring his ass back. If nothing else, that's it. It's a real good story. And the place that I'd want to go visit if I go back there. Hopefully we'll
Right
get the
on.
chance to do so.
All right, let's watch the next part.
Edinburgh Castle is the most visited paid tourist attraction in Scotland. It sits
Pretty
upon
cool.
Castle Rock, a volcanic plug that formed after a volcano erupted over 340 million years ago. The castle as it stands today dates back to the 12th century and has been used as a royal residence of the Scottish monarchy and also as a military stronghold. Tensions between the Scottish and English monarchs were always fixed upon Edinburgh Castle. Whoever controlled the castle held rule over the city of Edinburgh, and therefore all of Scotland. In its long history, the castle has been involved in 26 sieges and in conflicts ranging from the Wars of Scottish Independence in the 14th century to the Jacobite Rising of 1745.
Jacob.
Centuries of endless violence have left many restless spirits that haunt the castle grounds. Tourists and staff encounter paranormal activity on a weekly and sometimes daily basis. Known ghosts include American and French prisoners, a piper, Janet Douglas, who was supposedly a witch, a headless drummer, and even ghost dogs. Along with unexplainable drops in temperature, mysterious orbs, disembodied voices, the sound of drums, and an unseen entity that tugs at visitors' clothes and hair. The hauntings of Edinburgh Castle attracted a team of researchers to investigate in 2001.
This is kind of cool.
They brought in 200 participants who had no prior knowledge of the hauntings. They allowed the participants to roam the castle grounds, and more than half reported that they encountered some form of paranormal activity during their time exploring the castle.
I mean, I don't know how scientific that was and how they could not have known about. I mean, it could be that they're not locals and they just like, oh, they're just assuming all castles are haunted. But that's kind of an interesting little experiment. You get people. He said it was 200. That's quite a few. Now, whether 100 really actually, you got to sort of look at each individual report. But there is, if you just go on just the description of the activity there, you've got certainly residual. You've got some very intelligent haunts, certainly. So you got a big mix of both that there, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, it was like a buffet of paranormal activity that seemed to happen in
Exactly. He's
the
talking about
castle.
orbs.
Yeah.
Orbs were there, also disembodied voices. I mean, if you again, it sort of depends on when you're there, how many people are around. Like we're talking about in those cities, and it isn't like here in the U.S. Those it's a different kind of environment, and I can see how a lot of sounds could echo off and kind of make
Yeah, I
some.
mean, it's huge castle, I imagine. So, I mean, I think there's definitely more of an opportunity, in my opinion, to spread them out so that it's far enough apart from one another so that audio bleed doesn't happen as,
Yeah, yeah,
as readily. And but to your point, because of the construction of the castle, I would imagine that noise will travel fairly quickly from one end to the other without much impedance. My I don't know. I think I'll have to do a little more research at that paranormal investigation to see like what that sampling of 200, was made of. I mean, were they
yep,
mostly
yep.
skeptics? Were they, you know, because even let's say half of them are skeptics. And of those 100, like maybe 30 experienced something paranormal. That's actually already pretty impressive, right?
That is, yeah. If I mean, if we're looking at it that way, I doubt that they. I'm going to guess that most of the people that went probably were not skeptics, just based on the. It said it was a paranormal group of some
True.
kind
Yeah.
associated, so they probably had some expectations. I bet there were some skeptics though, and say even if there were 25 skeptics of the 200, or 30 of them, if like 10, like you said, or 30 of them, so maybe 30% had some type of experience that they couldn't explain, and they're like, well, okay, maybe it is. Then yeah,
Right.
that I think that's certainly something to look at. But just that the various there's some physical touching of people, pulling of clothing, the disembodied voices thing. I don't know. I believe more in the EVPs for something like that, unless it's like a residual. Like people can hear music sometimes and stories like that. But yeah, I mean, I would love to go back and visit with that lens on. When I was there, I wasn't thinking about that at all, and it didn't have any experience. But doesn't mean it's not haunted.
No, you're correct. I mean, obviously, we voiced our opinions on that one. Folks for those of you listening or watching this on YouTube, what are your thoughts? Put them in the comments below. All right, let's go to the next clip here.
The Edinburgh Vaults are a series of chambers that were built into the 19 arches of the South Bridge in
These
1788.
are interesting.
The chambers were used by taverns, cobblers, and other merchants for storage. However, they quickly deteriorated due to dampness caused by poor waterproofing of the arches. This combined with poor air quality in the vaults led to them being abandoned, left to the poorest citizens to take shelter in. Crime ran rampant, with prostitution, robbery, and murder all becoming a normality in the underground life of the vaults. Each of the vaults have their own separate entrance and hauntings. The Nitty Street vaults are haunted by a poltergeist that controls one of the rooms. New light bulbs burst as soon as they're replaced, and women have been attacked when they enter the room. People often faint if they stay too long. The sounds of whispering, children crying, heavy footsteps, shuffling noises, and whimpering can be heard coming from inside the vaults. Others have reported being pushed and scratched by invisible forces while inside. The Blair Street vaults are another section of the vaults that are well known for being haunted by multiple ghosts. Groaning noises and children crying are frequently heard coming from this chamber. These vaults are home to a very gentle spirit and one sinister spirit. An apparition of a kind-looking old man appears in one of the rooms and is usually seen making shoes, earning him the name the Cobbler. The sinister spirit has been dubbed Mr. Boots. He gets angry when people enter his room with lights. Mr. Boots can be very violent towards women and is known to push and check them if they enter his room. His presence can be felt in every room of the Blair Street vaults, except for the Cobbler's room.
What he said something about what he said with Mr. Boots, that women can be checked by him. What is that supposed to mean? I wonder.
Like body checked.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Is
pushed. It's kind of a
yeah,
weird way of saying it, but I think those places right there. Now, one, I don't think now uh, the way I don't like tight spaces like that. I don't
right.
think I'd even be able to go down in a place like that anymore. I would just be too freaked out because I get claustrophobic. But there's a lot of compelling. I mean, a poltergeist being down there, so people being scratched, being pushed. That's unusual activity for sure. Now I don't know about the light bulbs. That could just be because of the electrical is not very good down there. Hearing voices again, I imagine that kind of stuff. But the whimpering and hearing, again, if they're doing an investigation and they're if it's been emptied out, if there's no pollution down there, right? There's no noise pollution. That is pretty compelling, especially the poltergeist activity. That's really interesting.
Had you heard about the Edinburgh Caverns or
The
whatever?
vaults? No, I
Vaults?
had not. No, like I said, when I went there, I was not thinking of anything to do with paranormal whatsoever. And this is like I was 23, and I think I think I was like thinking about the Highlander, the movie and the TV show at the time more
Sure.
than I was a paranormal activity. But if we get the chance to go back, I would love to go visit that if I could. I just don't know if I could go down underground like those labyrinths and catacombs. I don't know if I can do anything like that.
Me neither. Me neither. I get claustrophobic as well, and I'm also that seems too much like caving. you know, like
Yeah.
spelunking,
Oh,
which
hell no. That is not happening. That's not happening. But I mean, it's interesting that they've got the two. They got the one guy, Mr. Cobbler. He seems like a chill guy. He shows up occasionally, and then but Mr. Boots, obviously, I mean, that's interesting. It's violence against women, particularly, is right. It's like he doesn't like when the lights come on, whatever he's doing in the lights, or come on is kind of weird. But then that he's taken that activity, whatever the entity is there. I don't know if I would. I don't know if that even just really the poltergeist is activity is that or not. It didn't seem like poltergeist to me, but
no, I mean, especially from what we know the description of poltergeist to be, it's often, you know, like attached to, you know, somebody,
an individual, yeah,
right?
teenager usually type.
But hey, we'll see.
Yeah,
You'll
that's
see
awesome.
when you go there. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
maybe.
All right, here we go.
Greyfriars Kirkyard is the graveyard surrounding the Greyfriars Kirk, a church at the southern edge of Old Town. Burials have been taking place in the graveyard since the late 16th century. It is home to two famous hauntings, the Greyfriars Bobby and the Mackenzie Poltergeist. Greyfriars Bobby was a Skye Terrier that spent 14 years guarding the grave of his owner, John Gray,
That's an
until Bobby
adorable
died
ghost.
and was buried inside of the gate of the Kirkyard. The story has been documented in countless books and movies, including the Disney movie titled The Greyfriars Bobby. After his death, sightings of Greyfriars Bobby continued. It is thought that he remains guarding the grave of his owner, waiting to be reunited with his master.
I would love to see that ghost. I'd love to see that doggy ghost. He seems awesome.
Yeah, Greyfriars Bobby. Yeah, ghost dogs are. I don't know.
I
It
had
could
never heard of seen anything like that before. Have you?
ghost dogs.
Yeah, known anybody who's? Oh yeah, I've seen a. I mean, you hear about what's it, the Hound in the Highlands, or maybe it's in Yorkshire. There's a hellhound or something like that, but an actual like a spirit of an ex-pet, right? I would love to see that. I don't know if I believe that. I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Well, there you go. Who knows, right? I mean, I know we have an acquaintance who does believe that, you know, like they're lost or not like lost, but you know, they're pets who have died are still kind of making themselves known in their house.
Yeah.
And you know, and sometimes she you know, they did say that they saw the cat at one point as well. I mean, who knows? I mean, some of that could be. I mean, this one sounds a little bit more urban legendy as well.
Yeah, yeah,
You
tourist,
know,
urban legendy for sure. Yeah, yeah. But those are the stories that you would hope were real. Like I would definitely want to see the Greyfriars Bobby. He looks adorable. And it's funny though. It said on one of the signs, it's or I think it was a grave, whatever it was. It said he was 16, and on the other sign it said he was 14 because it said 1858 to 1872. So they got to get their story straight there. Number one. But yeah, I could see that. Possibly, if, like you said, if there's an animal, again, you said our acquaintance was cat. I don't think cats are hanging around. At least there's no cat that I know of that I've ever owned. But like, yeah, I'm gonna hang around. Yeah, because I wanted to hang around before, right? That's
yeah,
a
no,
cat
they'd
for
be
you.
out they'd be out in the alleyways or something.
Hell
So
yeah.
Greyfriars Bobby, according to the internet, is 14. Was
He is
14.
14.
Yeah.
Okay. So that other sign was not accurate. But anyway, I didn't know there was a Disney movie about it. I didn't. That's maybe one of those Disney movies that probably not many people have seen if they're under 50. Even
Right, or it was released only in Scotland.
I don't recognize that at all. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
The Mackenzie poltergeist is the terrible spirit of bloody Sir George Mackenzie. In 1677, Mackenzie became Lord Advocate, the chief legal officer of the Scottish government, and crown in both civil and criminal matters. He was the minister responsible for enforcing Charles II's persecution policy against the Presbyterian Covenanters. After the Battle of Bothwell Bridge, Mackenzie imprisoned 1,200 Covenanters in a field in Greyfriars Kirkyard. Hundreds died due to mistreatment, and he had hundreds executed. This earned him the nickname of Bloody Mackenzie. During his time serving the crown, he was responsible for the deaths of up to 18,000 opponents of King Charles II. Sir
Damn.
Mackenzie died on May 8th, 1691, and was buried in Greyfriars Kirkyard, where he rested peacefully. That is until a homeless man broke into Mackenzie's mausoleum seeking shelter
Oh,
from a
shit.
cold Scottish night. While inside, the homeless man decided to break open the coffin to see what valuables he could find. Instead, he accidentally released the spirit of Mackenzie back onto the world. Since 1999, over 500 visitors to the Kirkyard have reported being hit, scratched, or shoved when passing his black mausoleum. Some are shoved so hard that they are knocked to the ground. There have been over 170 reports of people fainting in the graveyard. Many people leave with bloody noses, bruises, and unexplainable marks on their body.
What the? If that's real.
If you're feeling brave and want to increase your chances of encountering the Mackenzie poltergeist, then be sure to recite this when passing his mausoleum. Bloody Mackenzie, come out if you dare. Lift the snack and draw the bar. But don't be surprised if you get more than what you bargained for.
He sounded
that
a
supposed
little
to be
bit
a
more.
Scottish
Yeah, it sounded a
accent?
little bit more Irish, a little bit more. He's looking for me Lucky Charms. There, that was interesting. If those photos it showed on there again for listeners, there was a gal looked like her back, like 3 different maybe vertebrae had been scratched up. That looked like of a fall, like she fell down maybe. The other one just again looks like I don't think he got that from a ghost. That looks like a pretty bad scrape. I could be wrong. The other one with the scratches, that one is a little bit more like what I might expect from maybe a spirit. And again, maybe none of these are even related whatsoever to the actual reports because it's shown over there, and the other one is like an X-ray of somebody's broken finger. I don't know. Usually graveyards aren't really a place that a lot of spirit. I mean, at least to me, I mean, in general, are not really where spirits hang out. At least from my perspective, I think that's probably over because people are already creeped out. I mean, I know you had an experience that I think with something in a graveyard. Maybe you can get into that briefly, but I would say, I don't know. It's an interesting one. If it's as bad as they're saying, again, that's not really poltergeist type of activity. To me, that's more demonic. If an entity has that type of energy to be able to push somebody down, that's a heck of a lot different. So I think this guy, I appreciate his video, but I don't think he understands the difference. He doesn't understand what he's talking about when it comes to that.
I mean, but that could also be how those encounters are being described by the locals too.
That's
So,
true. Yeah.
I mean, poltergeist, I just looked it up again. So it's a ghost or other supernatural being supposedly responsible for physical disturbances, such as loud noises and objects thrown around. But like we said earlier, poltergeists are generally attached to somebody that's manifesting the energy that results in poltergeist activity. So, I mean, who knows though? To your point, I think it might be a demonic more than anything.
That one feels a lot more like it's demonic as far as the description anyway. And again, I like to I'll probably do a little bit more research into the vaults and into this one too, because if it's as extreme as this guy is kind of letting on, and again, he's showing those photos of people being injured. I like to see if there's anything like to that. Because that's pretty impressive energy if you're thinking about it from a spirit standpoint. I mean, it takes a lot, and it wasn't so much about voices or anything like it wasn't anything like that. It was actual physical interaction, which is it's crazy. That's crazy to think that if that's possible.
It's definitely not beyond imagination for this, the person who was supposedly the poltergeist of this graveyard to actually turn demonic because of
pissed off someone like desecrated his grave, right?
Well, desecrated his grave, but also he lived like a demon. I mean, like he put a lot of people to death.
Guy. Yeah,
so he was not a nice guy at all.
No, and it's interesting like when I went there to Scotland, to the places I stayed, it was pretty cool because there was I stayed at a hostel in the downtown Edinburgh area that was an old. I mean, they're all old buildings, right?
Sure.
And so that place is pretty creepy, actually. And then I went up to I can't remember if it was Stirling. There was another hostel that was kind of like an old. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a church, but in the back, it had a graveyard in the back of the place, which is awesome. which I thought was pretty cool at the time. It was really so. It was a lot of the hostels are in these old places that are kind of out in the, sort of out of the beaten path when you're staying in them, in not necessarily in Edinburgh, but in other cities or towns around there. But yeah, if you're gonna if you're gonna be going to Edinburgh and you happen to be listening, go ahead and make some comments. If you're gonna visit some of those places, or if you do come back and comment about them. If you've experienced any poltergeist activity or any kind of things that sound similar to the things that you heard here in this video, tell us. We'd love to hear about that too.
And if there's any actual Scots listening to this podcast or watching us on YouTube, can you please give this narrator a rating on his attempt at the Scottish accent? We would
Yes,
love to hear
please.
your feedback on that. And folks, if you enjoy this content, please give it a like and share it across your socials to help get the word out about our show. If you hadn't already done so, please subscribe. And on YouTube, hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on future episodes. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.